who the hell we think we are when we do something like that.
What's up, fight fans? This is the Combat Connection. I'm Brett Cagle, and that's Eddie Law. And we have a loaded show for you today. We're going to hit on UFC 314 from Miami last weekend, and also look ahead to the PFL card from Orlando that we have this week. The UFC is off, so we're going to look back at the UFC pay-per-view to start. Eddie, Alexander Volkanovski able to reclaim the featherweight championship over up-and-coming Diego Lopez. Lopez was on a tear leading into this one, had a victory over Brian Ortega. A lot of people predicted him to win the fight, including me and you. But Alexander Volkanovski eventually was able to overcome Diego Lopez. And, you know, he had to overcome adversity in that early round, getting knocked down. But the judges scored the fight in favor of Volkanovski. How did you see the main event, and how impressed were you with Volkanovski getting the belt back at his advanced age?
Man, you got to put him in. He's in the discussion for GOAT 145. Like, he's not. I wouldn't say he's the GOAT just yet, but which again, it's kind of bizarre to even think that I just said that because he's so damn good, right? Like, who hasn't beaten at this point? Like, just the fact that he beat Max Holloway twice was enough for me to be like, damn, dude, you're up there top 5, top 3 easily. And then coming back and doing it with 35, 36 years old, it's like against a dangerous Diego Lopez. He made Diego look like Diego, like Diego was like, you know, month 1 in MMA. You know what I mean? Like, he made him, and I'm saying Diego look bad. It's just Alex is just so damn good, and he's so solid and so disciplined. Mm-hmm. It was awesome to see, man. I'm not even mad at it. Now, I was bummed out Lopez didn't win, but nah, dude. Like, Alexander Volkanovski made him look like he had a lot of work to do.
Yeah, still has fire left in him. Now the division has a face that's familiar. A lot of matchups can be made here in the future with guys coming up. We saw Gene Silva, who we're going to talk about here later in the show. He might be an interesting matchup for Volkanovski in a few more fights. And there's also some other guys yet that he hasn't faced. I think this is good for the UFC because it does bring a familiar face back to the division. For Diego Lopez, he's going to be able to, I think, pretty seamlessly get into a fight with Yair Rodriguez. After this one, they were kind of going back and forth at the press conference there. And we'll get into some of those other matchups as well. But Volkanovski able to get this one done. Eddie, how did you have this scored? I had it 48-47. What about you? Did you have this one 49-46, or did you have it 2-2 going into that final round?
Oh, I did not have a 2-2. No way. Like, I know, look, man, I know Henry Cejudo's account tweeted out that it was 2-2 going into the 5th. And I saw that tweet and I was like, come on, son, because we both know what's up with that whole thing. But I was like, come on, son. Come on, dog. I had to text our boy and be like, hey, doc, you need to chill out with that. And I'm a huge Diego Lopez fan. And even then, I'm like, nah, son, it was 3-1 going in that 5th to me. I forgot which we were trying to get to Lopez. But no, I think the scoring was, I mean, look, end of the day, scoring regardless, I think the right guy clearly won, right? But no, I had a 48-47 all across. Like, you know what I mean?
And what do you think for the future of the division with Volkanovski? Do you think he's the right guy moving forward to lead the division? There are some interesting matchups, like I mentioned, with Silva on the horizon. But in the immediate, he might have to face like a Movsar Evloev or go and run it back with one of these guys he's already fought.
Man, look, man, I mean, it's Movsar or it's Yair, right? Now, if you go Movsar, you're going towards a guy that's on a win. We're undefeated, so I think. Yeah, undefeated. Everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people are like, look, he's boring as shit, but he deserves it, right? If you go with Yair, does he really deserve it? Not really, right? Yeah. Let's be honest, not really, right? Coming off of 2 in a row.
He didn't look great the first time against Volkanovski either.
Oh, he looked awful against Volkanovski the first time. What you tell me? What have you seen from Yair lately, or even this last weekend, that makes you think, yeah, he's ready?
Nothing. The killer instinct that used to be there coming up, it's just not necessarily where it was. In that Ortega fight, he had a real legitimate chance to get him out of there in that first round and finish him, and wasn't able to do it. I think that a prime Yair Rodriguez probably finishes that fight. But yeah, I don't know necessarily, you know, what's next for Volk. Probably Evloev, and then wait for Gene Silva. But yeah, right now with Topuria leaving the division, well, you know, Lerone Murphy just beat Josh Emmett a few weeks ago. I don't know where he's at in the discussion as well. Maybe he fights Evloev, or he's next for Gene Silva. There are some up and coming guys here though that are going to get an opportunity that we haven't seen get an opportunity in the past. So featherweight is kind of going over a little bit of a change with Topuria moving up to 155. But a familiar face will be leading the division.
Pretend you're Dana White for a second. Or not Dana White, but one of the matchmakers, either Sean or Mick. I forgot who handles 145 of those two guys. Who do you put against Volkanovski?
Evlov, because I don't think Evlov's going to run up to 155 pounds, and I think he's someone that you could pretty much bank on being your champion at that weight for a decent amount of time, at least until Silva gets there.
Same. Give Volkanovski. If for some reason you don't look, entertainment value, does Yuri give a better show? I'm sure he would, right? But and that would be a good one for Guadalajara. And I'm not saying that because I'm going to cover that one, but I'm saying like because that would make sense in terms of putting that fight in Noche UFC in September. I put Volkanovski against Evloev as well in Australia. Give that man a home game for once, man. He ain't never fought for the title at home.
Yeah, and now he's got to face another undefeated killer coming up too.
Yeah, and look, Dana's trying to get rid of this dude. He's been trying to kill him, right? And no one's been able to handle it.
Yeah.
Who handled it, in my opinion? Volkanovski.
Yeah. Great win for Volkanovski. A vintage performance that surely will put him into the UFC Hall of Fame if he was not there already. A smaller weight class version of Randy Couture getting a belt back that he once lost. Great win from Volkanovski. Can't be understated. How big that was for his career this weekend. But the co-main event was a 5-round fight, and it did not go the 5-round distance. Paddy Pimblett knocks out Michael Chandler on the ground with ground and pound. Referee stops the fight. This was an ass beating, Eddie. From beginning to end, Michael Chandler looked like he didn't get out of first gear. Paddy did whatever he wanted to him. He stayed at distance on the feet, boxed him up, and then, eventually, the fight ended up on the ground, and Paddy reversed him, got on top, and was able to finish him by TKO. This was a beatdown and a coming out party for Paddy Pimblett. Everybody who's doubted this guy over the last few years and thought he's not top 10 potential, he's not top 5, not a title contender. This guy might be fighting Islam Makhachev by the end of the year. Like he might be one more fight away from being in the title opportunity. That's how much fanfare this guy has, and he's looking great. He cannot look better than what he's looked his last 2 fights, choking out Bobby Green and then going in there and doing what he did against Michael Chandler. I know he didn't finish Tony Ferguson, and some people wanted, but he's moving up and he's rising to the occasion in these matchups. They throw him tougher fighters to face, and all he's doing is raising his level of competition. So Paddy Pimblett, to me, is one of the brightest, if not the brightest, up-and-comer at 155 pounds right now, and is the only guy in the promotion, in my opinion, that can take that torch from Conor McGregor and really be a superstar globally if he can become champion. I think that he has massive star potential if he can get there. It's just whether he can get there.
And he could do it without being an asshole. That's the best part. I think people misunderstand Paddy Pimblett. Like we watch him all. We kind of have to, but we watch him all the time. We see interviews of his, right? Everything he does, he posts on everything. We see it, right? And for some reason, some people want to put, he's an arrogant. He's like, when has he ever lied? He said he was going to put it on Chandler. He did. He said he's going to rise in the rankings. He did. Like everything he says he's going to do, he's doing, right? And a lot of people don't like a showboat. They don't like a loudmouth and everything, especially when it's not American for whatever reason. I like that he came in and I'm not going to call Michael Chandler a fraud because that guy was a killer in his day, but he's over the hill. That's it. It's it. And I've been saying that since he fought Tony Ferguson. I've been saying that, like, why are they putting value on Michael Chandler? So much value, making him sound like some kind of title contender, which he's not, right? When he's at a 2, now he's at 2-5 record, whatever it is.
2-6, I believe.
2-6 now.
His only wins are Dan Hooker and Tony Ferguson.
Dan Hooker before he was savage, smart Dan Hooker. This is Dan Hooker that went in there just throwing hands almost without looking, right? And then he knocked out a Tony Ferguson. It's a Tony Ferguson, but it was nowhere near the prime Tony Ferguson that we used to know. So I think he finally showed everyone, like, all right, Michael Chandler's done.
Yeah,
I think Michael Chandler's done. Like, I'm not saying he's going to retire.
Would you hang it up completely after this weekend?
If I'm Mike, no. Look, I know Mike's got a nice contract. All right, that's the reason they put him in the co-main. All right, he's got a nice contract. No, I keep going till they start giving me the checks, and then I go off to BKFC personally because what Michael Chandler brings is entertainment value in the fight. Like, Michael Chandler's going to throw crazy overhands, lots of power, lots of rushing in and doing crazy shit. And that's what he's – so, dude, he'd be great for BKFC. He can go over there and wait for Conor again. That'd be fun.
Here's my thing. it's his chance to make a legitimate last title push. And now all those years of being the entertaining guy, being the crowd pleaser, have taken a toll on your body. And when you needed it last weekend against Paddy Pimblett, it wasn't there for you. The younger kid looked faster. He looked bigger. He looked stronger at times. And he looked more technical with his grappling. So, to me, I think Chandler fought like you said, very entertaining in his first, couple fights here. But it may have taken a detriment on his career as a whole. But he was never known for his fight IQ per se, and Paddy Pimblett is one of the most intelligent fighters, especially of this younger generation.
Who do you put Paddy Pimblett up against next? Because who?
Justin Gaethje.
You trying to break Cade? You're trying to break Cade Morehouse's heart right now, motherfucker. That doesn't get you this guy
quickly.
Huh?
I think Paddy beats him.
Yeah, I can see it. I want to see him.
Skill set is Chandler, just a little bit better if you can get him to the ground.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him. And I know this is a huge jump, but it's not as bigger of a jump as Justin, or much bigger of a jump in terms of the rankings. Because Paddy's 8, Justin's 3.
You want Armin?
No. I want Charles.
That'd be good.
If they don't do Charles for the title, you kidding me? You give me 2 guys that have striking and ground game, 2 guys that are striking and ground game and all kinds of shit. Like, he's ready, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's kind of a younger version of Charles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. So
not a power puncher, very good with the jiu-jitsu,
So you would do Justin Gaethje, I would do Charles.
Yeah, I think either of those would be awesome, but I think this next fight is really his coming out party, his statement.
Has to be.
Yeah,
has to be. And with that in mind, Justin Gaethje makes sense to me too.
Yeah. So the future is bright for Paddy Pimblett. Michael Chandler, I think his days are dwindling as a fighter at the top level, but for Pimblett, like me and Eddie just mentioned, very good opponents in the future for him, and he's one fight, at most 2 fights away from a title. So great win for Paddy Pimblett. He did everything he said he was going to do this past weekend and got the job done by finish. Moving on down the card here, Eddie, we did have a debut from Patricio Pitbull, another Bellator fighter who actually knocked out Michael Chandler in Bellator. He fought Yair Rodriguez. To me, when this one was announced, Eddie, I just knew this wasn't a good matchup for Pitbull. When we saw him in his last days in Bellator, he lost to Sergio Pettis. I was actually at that fight covering it, and the speed and technicality of Sergio was just too much for Patricio, who was a step behind the whole night. Now you go to the UFC and you're fighting a guy who's 5'11", who has a similar skill set to Sergio, maybe even a little bit nastier and a little bit better on the feet. That's a matchup that's a nightmare matchup for you. You're 5'6", fighting a guy who's 5'11", keeps people on the ends of his strikes and kicks very well. This is really how I saw it going from the time it was announced, Eddie. And I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either. And what did surprise me is Pitbull's 36, 37, whatever he is. And he seemed like he had the UFC jitters. Like, a guy's been world champion. He, like you said, he beat Michael Chandler. He's beaten a bunch of killers before. And he walked in there and he got caught up in the lights. He was waiting a fuck ton that whole fight. Really, he didn't really start going out till the third, or trying to anyway.
He's looked gun shy in a lot of his recent fights.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it has to do with not wanting to get rocked and hurt and knocked out. But I mean, specifically in this fight, he looked like he was just like, oh shit, oh, this is different, right? So I mean, it is what it is. Maybe you do that him and Michael Chandler next for fun.
I mean, you could. He's going to have problem with length, though, especially at this weight class at 145. I don't know if he can even make 135 anymore.
I was going to ask you that. Can he make 135, you think?
I don't know. He's always older, too.
He's a big – he's not a small guy. Like, I've seen him in person. He's not small, really. Like, I know on TV.
He's small, but he's dense.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's a thick boy. So, yeah, I think 35 would be a mother for him. It'd be kind of cool to get him and Jose Aldo in there at 45.
What about him and John Silva?
You want to see a body? Is that what you're trying to do? God damn, bro.
That'd be a good fight.
I'm trying to get a Brazilian murder right here, dude. You know how fucked
Brazilian on Brazilian.
John Silva would murder homeboy. Nah, I like Pitbull, bro. Don't do that to my guy. No, I'm saying no. I can see that happening. I just don't see John Silva accepting that fight personally. Because it doesn't really do much for him in terms of moving up, and he's not
officially ranked.
He put a big old show on Bryce today, and you got to capitalize on Saturday. You got to capitalize on that. But no, I like Pitbull. I want to see him against someone that's not top 10, just to see what he's got, Let him put on a show against someone he could put on a show against, and then bring him back up and see what happens. But
yeah, maybe a Josh Emmett who just lost or someone like that. But
yeah,
Yair Rodriguez, nonetheless, here moves himself back into top 5 contention. I'd like to see him fight Diego Lopez, who just fought for the belt on this card. I think that, that'd be great. They were going back and forth at the press conference. Do you think that's a good fight for them to put on that Guadalajara card, Eddie?
Dude, you kind of have to now, right? Now, here's the deal. Is Yair claims Hunter Campbell told him, you saw this, he said it in the presser, I want to say, or in the media day. He goes, or whatever he said it, but he said it. He said, Hunter told me that, I win this fight, I get a title shot, right? The only next time he's available to fight for a title that both guys will be available because Alexander Volkanovski is the champion is Mexico, right? So that's that. There's that. If you don't do that, because Volkanovski wants to come back sooner than that, as long as he's not busted. I know his hand's messed up, his foot might be messed up, who knows? But I know his hand's for sure busted. Is if you bring him back sooner, all right, cool, man. Look, go in there, handle your business with Yair on that whole, gym versus gym drama shit, and put on a show in front of your people, man. Fuck, why not? It's a huge deal. You pay them a little bit more money. It's a pay-per-view anyway, right? You put them on the co-main event and have at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. I think that's the matchup to make for Yair. For Pitbull, throw him against somebody who's a contender that's going to put on an entertaining fan fight for the fans. I think that's kind of what you do next with these guys. But a lot of good problems to have for the UFC at the 145-pound division.
I'm telling you. Michael Challenger's dropped from whatever he was to like 12 or 13. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, my only problem with that is if he moves up in weight to 155, he's going to have even more of a length disadvantage against some matchups.
For Pitbull?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they got guys like Bahamondes and Jalen Turner. And
do a one-off, bro. Do a one-off. He'll be all right.
Yeah.
And then bring it back down. We've seen dumber shit happen in the UFC where guys go up in weight and then come back down and earning a title shot at their original class.
How close is the relationship between him and Jose Aldo?
Ooh. I mean, they definitely know and respect each other. I don't know how close they are, though. But they know each other.
I think that'd be an interesting fight if they weren't like good friends outside the cage or something.
Right. But. Yeah, I don't think they're good friends, I want to say. I know. I'm not trying to bullshit you. I have no idea, really, how close they are. But yeah, dude. Maybe I would. The Brazilians have a hard time fighting each other, even when it's like a money. For them, it has to be a title on the line. It has to be.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. But great win by Yair Rodriguez. Technically kickboxed his way to a decision victory. But also on this card, we had another 145-pound matchup. This one between up-and-comer from the Fighting Nerds, Gene Silva, and Bryce Mitchell, who had made some controversial comments coming into this fight that had some fans, really not happy with him leading into this one. And Gene Silva went in there and got the job done. This one was almost non-competitive. Like Silva pressured him in the first round, had no respect for the punching power of Bryce Mitchell, gets Mitchell to the ground, subs him with the ninja choke in the second round. Eddie, this guy's the real deal. He can get it done on the ground. He can get it done standing. He's got an iron chin, relentless, moves forward at a pace that's very aggressive. We haven't seen the cardio tested in the third, fourth, and fifth round yet. We will, I believe, in the future in future fights. But this guy, Gene Silva, is the real deal and could be the next champion in this division in very short order.
Did you see when he threw that spinning heel kick or whatever, or that round? Wheelhouse? Was it wheelhouse?
Yeah, like the wheel kick.
He points him out, Mauricio Rufi, or Ruffy, how you say his name. He points to Mo, and then he throws it. Mo knocked out his last opponent like that. Dude, I fell over fucking laughing, dude, because I knew because he was pointing out and then he did it. I'm like, that looks like Mo. I'm like, there's no way he wasn't pointing at Mo. And it turns out
how comfortable you have to be to do that.
Oh, that's those Fighting Nerds, dude. I'm telling you, people are so overlooking. They're overlooking Kyle Bahia on that whole team. That's a scary team, dude. Holy shit! They only have one loss, and it's one of the girls on their team. Everybody else,
of the guys of Hufi, Prates, Bahalio, and Silva, they haven't lost.
Everybody. So anyway, in terms of this fight alone, Silva's coming out party, dude. Silva's coming out party. Shut everybody up. There's a lot of people saying, "Oh, Bryce is going to take him down and choke him out." Bryce looked. I'll tell you this, okay, and we'll take a little longer on this fight just because there's a lot to unpack here, obviously. Okay, with Bryce Mitchell goes immediate there. They have him first. Okay, peel the curtain back a little bit. When you have someone that speaks like a Bryce Mitchell, that speaks is different, but speaks like a Sean Strickland, right? Like they're a little combative, they're a little edgier and everything. You put them immediately first, right? Try to get them out of the way immediately. Bryce Mitchell comes in, and everyone's asking him about the comments or insinuating at the comments and all kinds of stuff, okay? When Jay asked him, because it was Jay Anderson, Cageside Press, who asked him, who said, look, man, you brought this on yourself, all the comments you made, yada, yada. Bryce's face went from like soft and like normal to incredibly tense. Like he was not happy. And then Jay asked him, like, hey man, just a week or two ago, you put up a post, basically it was anti-gay post and all that stuff. And Bryce threw a freaking Bible verse at him. And he was pissed, right? When he did that, I was like, he's not even thinking about this fight, bro. He's not ready. He's not focused on this thing. He's like, I'm fully focused, brother. No, you're not. You aren't. And we got in there. He looked like a man who was just like, oh shit, the test is today. Yeah, high school, college, whenever. Did you ever show up to class and they were like, all right, cool, get your put your shit down and pencils out. We're doing a test. And you were like, I didn't know, and everyone else around you knew, but you. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it looked like to me. And John Silva came in, he did his homework, whooped homeboy, took all his shot and sent Bryce back to Arkansas with his tail between his legs.
Yep. And for all the people that wanted to see justice on Bryce Mitchell, maybe see him fired from the promotion from his comments and stuff, kind of worked out organically here with Gene Silva coming in and getting the job done. But for Silva, I want him to fight Josh Emmett next. He needs a ranking next to his name. I think that's a good matchup. Emmett's somebody who's going to be hard to get out of there. And I think we could see the cardio tested of Gene Silva if they did that on like a fight night card at the Apex as a main event or something like that. But for Bryce Mitchell, Eddie, this loss reminded me a lot of his loss to Topuria too. First round kind of, went in there and tried to implement his game plan, did okay. Second round, lost on the ground. Same with Gene Silva here. But that one really reminded me of his fight with Topuria. And I don't know what's next for Bryce because he was just flatlined in the knockout of the year by Emmett 2 fights ago. And then in this one gets subbed and beat stylistically at his own game on the ground. Eddie, he might have one more fight left in him in the UFC, might, let him go somewhere else. He's really, to me right now, I think he's kind of a body bag. He's somebody that's going to go in there and test, but not necessarily. I don't know if he can finish anybody. I don't know if he's capable of physically harming someone to the point of stopping a fight anymore, quite honestly.
I mean, look, man, if you're asking me what to do with him next, I mean, can Crone Gracie fight him again? Because that's the last time we saw him even look decent. And because Crone is, let's be honest, Crone is not.
No hands either.
He's not an MMA fighter. Crone Gracie's a jiu-jitsu guy. That's how it is. But in terms of Bryce, dude, I mean, unless you can give him Crone Gracie again or someone that's basically, like you said, like a body bag, it ain't going to happen, right? Nothing's going to happen. And in the UFC, if you're going to give him all kinds of trouble, and let's be honest, kind of bad, rough publicity, I guess, for lack of a better term, you need to be worth it. Like
exactly, that's what I'm saying. If your mouth is gonna sit here and cause problems, you're gonna have to reap the rewards and show the successes as well. And that's not necessarily what's happening. So I don't know how much longer they're gonna be able to put up with it.
Who would you put? Okay, so we talk. You want Josh Emmett for John Silva. John Silva thing is like he's ranked now. John Silva's 11th or 12th now.
Yeah, I think Emmett's probably like 8th.
And Emmett, let me look it up for you because I'm on this. Okay, so John Silva's 11, wasn't ranked last week. Josh Emmett's 10. That's all right. John Silva versus Lerone Murphy. You think Lerone would do that fight?
I think it'd be a real dangerous one for him.
I think if I'm Lerone, I'm like, nah.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Who else is there? Ilya's gonna fight for a title, I'm sure, probably, or at least number one contender type of shit. I can see Ilya Topuria against Max Holloway, but who knows if that'll happen.
I mean, maybe throw Bryce Mitchell to one of these guys coming off the contender series.
Okay, we're talking Bryce. If we're talking Bryce,
yeah, Bryce.
Okay. I thought we were talking about John Silva. Okay, no. So Bryce, I don't give him anyone ranked, honestly.
No,
just hey, welcome to the gatekeeper status, Bryce. Your mouth is not. I mean, your performance is not good enough to put up with your mouth. This is straight up.
That is definitely true. But for Gene Silva, his performances of late have been good enough to put up with just about anything. He is on the rise to a potential title opportunity here in very short order, and someone to keep notice of here as he moves forward in his career. But someone who's been to the title opportunity in the past and is a veteran of the sport, Dominic Reyes returned with an impressive knockout win this weekend over Nikita Krylov. Some people, including me, picked Nikita Krylov. I really thought he was athletic and a great striker, very tough customer, but a tremendously impressive pullback left-hand counter by Dominic Reyes that knocked Nikita out cold. He was almost out before he hit the ground. Eddie, what'd you make of the impressive performance from Dominic Reyes? And is he officially back in this 205-pound weight class?
I would like to sit here and tell you, oh, he's back, he's ready to go, yada, all sorts of shit. I think Nikita Krylov's fucked up. I think he made a mistake and got caught. I think that's what happened. I also don't think Reyes is going to do that to him in that fight. I thought Krylov was going to put pressure on him and all that. And I get it. You do train counters moving backwards 100%. And Reyes has been able to do that. Yeah. But I thought it was more a mistake from Krylov's mistake than it was Reyes being ready for it. I honestly, this is my honest opinion, because I've been watching Reyes before in the last few fights. He doesn't have that kind of like killer instinct, I guess you want to call it that. Mm-hmm. So is he back? You got to give me one more performance just like that, Reyes, in order for me to say, yeah, you're back, right? Now he's ranked number 8. You know, the guys above him are Roundtree, Rakic, Blachowicz. I'm sure Jamal Hill's still up there somewhere. Olberg's up there.
He's got. I think he is, isn't he?
Oh, geez, Olberg's number 3. How did that happen? It was 205. Never mind. Anyway, Olberg's there, Yuri and Alex and all that. And Magomed, obviously the champion. So, I mean, Reyes either probably has to fight someone under him right now, right? Ranked under. Yeah. But look, man, it's in his hands. You know how it goes.
How about Khalil Roundtree or somebody like? Didn't Khalil just pull out of the Kansas City main event?
No, Khalil and Jamal Hill are fighting again, but they're fighting somewhere else, not Kansas City. And it was Jamal Hill that pulled out. But yeah, so no, they're not available. Available is, and this is off the top of my head. I think Jan just fought, so he'd be available sooner than later. Rakic just fought Blachowicz, I think. Yeah, Blachowicz, so he'll be available. Carlos Earlberg just fought not long ago. He'd be available, right? So those guys, in terms of guys above Reyes, that makes sense.
I like him and Earlberg.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I like him and Earlberg. Great win by Dominic Reyes this weekend. Impressive knockout performance. And it was really nice to see him rebound after being knocked out a couple times himself, badly by Ryan Spann and also by Jan Blachowicz in the past. Yeah. Eddie, is there any more standouts from this card that you want to talk about? There was a controversial stoppage in this fight with the Dan Ige, Sean Woodson. Sean Woodson, came into this with a very impressive record. I think it was 14-1, 6'2" at 145 pounds. But he kind of got rocked in this third round and was kind of grabbing for the legs, was never on the ground. And the referee stopped the fight, Eddie. This was one of the most confusing stoppages that I've seen. I think it was a terrible stoppage. I don't think it swayed the outcome of what was going to happen in the fight, but in terms of letting Sean Woodson fight it off, what did you think of this? And do you think it had any impact on the fight if it would have gone to the decision?
I mean, but the decision, sure, it has an impact on the fight. But the problem is obviously it didn't make it to the decision. Now, so I thought it was a terrible stoppage, but I didn't think of that live, because what you see is Dan clearly hurt him. Sean shoot for a takedown. Then just like Dan said, because he never does that. You never see Sean Woodson do that, right? No. So when he went, I'm like, oh, he's fucked up. He's hurt like crazy. And so, Dan hit him a couple more times, and the ref was like, sure, that's enough. It's still a bad stoppage. You got to give him a chance to. He was on his feet basically still. So yeah, no, it had a gone decision. 100% it would have affected it. But I didn't check the cards out after this one. Who did they have winning?
I don't know. That's what I was going to ask you too. I didn't see the cards either. It seemed like Ige was ahead in the fight from me casually watching. As the event was going on, but I was doing other shit too. I was like grilling. So
all 3 judges had Dan Ige win the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, so it didn't have any effect at all.
No, that fight was going to go unless Woodson came back and did some crazy. Ige was going to win that.
Yeah. So impressive performance there by Dan Ige. Stoppage, controversy or not. But Eddie, we do have some news to get into here from over the week. The UFC's deal with ESPN has officially expired. They are now free agents. They can take and field offers from Netflix, Amazon Prime, Peacock, some of these other big streaming platforms. Where do you think they land? It looks like to me the obvious home may be Netflix, where their broadcast partner, the WWE, is. It would kind of make everything more synchronized. They'd all be at one home together as an organization. Is that kind of where you see them going? And do you think this is going to be a step forward or a step backwards for the UFC leaving ESPN?
If they go to Netflix, it's a step forward. Clearly. Obviously, okay. Netflix learned a lot from that shit they pulled with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. They showed that they've done pretty well with WWE. I've only seen a couple things.
No, they do well, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I've seen like they don't have choppy feeds like ESPN does. They don't the sound doesn't drop randomly like ESPN does. I don't have issues getting to a freaking Apex card fucking link. You know what I mean? Like ESPN has all kinds of issues, and it's because they just have too much going on, and it just seems like they just don't put in as much technical effort into their stuff as Netflix does, for example. So have it go to Netflix, 100% step forward. Do I think that happens? I hope so. I have a really shitty feeling that they're going to stay at ESPN. And that would be hilarious because, like, you know how it is, man. The reaction from the fans is going to be fucking awesome. Like, there's going to be angry, pissed off motherfuckers. Because, look, if there's anybody, there's nobody that's God, I hate to say this, MMA might have the worst fan base ever in terms of like the kind of people that, like, the way they react and shit. Like, you don't see too many people, tweet at fighters and shit and saying all god awful stuff that they say. And they don't. I mean, they send it to other, to other leagues and shit too. But
yeah, I think ESPN deserves it at this rate though, because when they took over 100%. This broadcast deal, it was $45 a pay-per-view. Back when GSP and Nick, it was like $45, $50.
Now it's what, 80?
Yeah, it's $79.99 before tax. It comes out to $84. Yeah. So it's like they forced people to illegally stream these things. They use Stream Easts and Meth Streams, Crack Streams, all these streaming websites. They wouldn't even be a thing for mixed martial arts if we kept the price where it was, or had some sort of year-long package like there is in every other sport, where you've got the MLB Sunday the NFL Sunday ticket, the MLB package, the NBA season league pass. Why is there not something like that for MMA fans, to where I can pay $600, $500, $700, whatever you want to charge, and I get all the fight nights, all the pay-per-views, Fight Pass, the library that I could get on Fight Pass. Why can I not get all that for one price of like $500 like they do with the NBA? And you can mark that up because you're selling pay-per-view on there as well. I think a lot of people would buy it for that $500 a year price.
I wouldn't be against that. No, but I think the reason we don't have that is the same reason companies are bringing people, like trying to force people to come back from remote jobs into a shitty office, because they're fucking old and antiquated mindset thinking bullshit. Okay. I'm not saying it's Dana. I'm saying it's the entire industry as a whole. And I mean combat sports, not just the UFC and not just MMA. You know what I mean? Boxing's never going to let go of pay-per-view. As fucking, if they're going to fight it like crazy, because that's where they make a bunch of money, right? The UFC still hasn't found a good. I mean, we all thought it was going to happen with the UFC Fight Pass. We thought finally they're going to do a subscription price. We're going to get everything. First thing they do is be like, yeah, you're going to get everything, but pay-per-views are still, $60 or whatever it was at that point, $50, right? When it comes to, here's the thing I tell people about Netflix. Like, because people are like, yo, it's going to be awesome. I already have Netflix. If you don't think that price is going to skyrocket if they get rid of pay-per-views, you're out of your fucking mind, right? What I think happens is this. I think they're going to split, which I would fucking hate, because I hate having multiple streams, multiple subscriptions for the same fucking product, right? But I think they're going to keep Fight Nights on ESPN Plus, right? Apex cards and City cards, Fight Nights on ESPN Plus. And I think they go pay-per-view from Netflix. But if they do that, that's going to jack up the price of Netflix, which, again, I'm with you, right? If you tell me for $500 a year, I can get whatever it is. Like, I don't know exactly how much they would jack it up to, but for a certain amount, a set amount, I get every pay-per-view, I'm in. You got me. I'm in, because I'm watching it anyway, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to stop the streamers. I know there, a lot of people are like, it would stop the streamers if you did this and that. It's not going to stop the streamers. Y'all can forget it. The way the economy is right now, especially in the shitter at this exact moment that we're in, no one's spending $80. I'm not, right? It's a fascinating thing to think about, and one that people want an answer to. But I know people are coming out like, oh, well, we should find out soon. There's going to be a deal. We're not. Don't hold your breath. It's going to be a minute. All right. Like, people that say that don't know how negotiations work in business as a whole. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, could we get an answer soon? We could. That would be on Netflix to be like, all right, Dana, we're not fucking around. Boom, $1 billion or whatever it's going to be. Here's boom, set money, and Dana's gonna be like, "Oh shit, yeah, okay," and then we get an announcement, right? But
yeah, I think
my prediction, dude. My prediction: ESPN gets fight nights, Netflix get pay-per-views.
Yeah, that'd be interesting because the way WWE does it right now is Netflix actually doesn't broadcast their pay-per-views. Peacock does, but they do the fight night cards or their Monday Night Raws and SmackDowns on
What's
the other one. So,
what's the other one? They have another one.
Raw, SmackDown.
Yeah, something else. It's like the G League for WWE.
NXT.
Thank you, Shawn Michaels. I know Shawn Michaels runs that. I'm a Shawn Michaels guy when I was a kid too. I love Shawn Michaels. But anyway, okay, so NXT, because I know NXT was supposed to go do some shit and still is going to go do some stuff at the Apex. But okay, yeah, that makes sense. Look, man, I'm excited for it. I want to see Netflix get it.
I am too. And if Netflix can get WWE and UFC under one brand, they've got literally the whole combat sports world under. That's a great way to get into the live streaming.
If Netflix can get the entire UFC package and not charge us pay-per-view, dude, I'm be so happy. I can't wait to cancel ESPN Plus. It'll be it'll be a fun day for me.
Anything other than Fight Night.
Me neither at all. Right now, mind you, I know you talk about other packages, right? NBA League Pass, I'll tell you, folks, not worth it. Sunday Ticket, I don't give a shit what anyone says. Fucking not worth it. Jesus Christ, you're telling me I can't watch my local team on there, right? I gotta watch this here. No, on Sunday Ticket, can you watch the Sunday night game? Fuck no. Can you watch the any primetime games? Fuck no. Thursday night, guess what? Amazon. Sunday Ticket's horseshit.
Yeah. And there'd be something that comes along. I'm sure they'd have some type of hidden fee or something in there as well. But some other brief news topics that we are to discuss quickly, Eddie. Ilia Topuria, former featherweight champion, moved up to the lightweight division here. We're going to have an announcement on his fight coming in the next month or so. But he stopped by Joe Rogan's podcast on the JRE Joe Rogan Experience, the #1 podcast in the world. And they had about a 2-hour-long discussion. I've seen about the first 35 minutes of it. It was interesting listening to Topuria's childhood and how he rose to become the champion that he is or was. And he also explains why he moved up to the lightweight division as well. So I think it's a very interesting episode for fight fans if they want to go give that a watch. That is up on YouTube as well. Have you seen any of it, Eddie?
I can't watch Joe Rogan, dude. No, it hasn't. No, nothing to do with politics. All right, folks, before you guys freak the fuck out. All right, I'm literally down the middle as they come. All right, I don't give a shit about your team sucks and their team sucks too. But he's a fucking idiot. Okay, this is overall. He tells you that, right? But my problem with Joe Rogan is just constant. He just repeats what he's told, and then he, like young Jamie will be like correcting him, and Joe will be like, "Whoa, I'm just a comedian." That's what I don't like about it. That's it. That's the only thing I don't like about Joe.
Yeah.
Only thing I don't like about Joe is that he plays idiot really, really well. Like
when he wants to.
Like, you are not that dumb, Joe. I've seen you speak. I've heard you speak. I've seen how you work. You are not dumb enough to be like, well, I'm just a comedian. No, you're only saying that because you want to take responsibility for having a million. I don't know how many millions of people watch your shit, but people listen to you because you got dumbass people listening to you. That's how it goes. But outside of all that, I haven't watched it. I am interested to hear, and I'm sure someone will write an article. I'll probably just read that, or a clip. I want to hear about how he grew up and all that. That's interesting to me. I like to see how these fighters, because, just like me and you, what happened in our childhood still affects us today. It's how it goes, psychology and all that stuff. So I really want to see it. But what did he say that was most interesting to you so far?
Well, I think it was really because you know how he went from Spain to Georgia and kind of these different territories. He was saying that his brother Alexander was like a top Greco-Roman guy in Georgia, and so he was like he was the family athlete, or what they thought. He was going to be the Greco-Roman guy. They moved to Spain and they had no more wrestling. There was no more Greco-Roman wrestling, and because Russia was coming in and taking over Georgia. Yeah. And so they moved to Spain, and their family had to like find a sport for him. And he said that his mom was at the grocery store and saw a guy with cauliflower ear and said, "Are you a wrestler? My boys are wrestlers. We can't find wrestling out here." And he said, "No, I do jujitsu. Bring him by the gym, and we'll teach him some stuff." And he said his dad came to him and started showing him the videos of the Gracies, trying to convince him to go to the class. And he's like, "When I went there, it was like the best thing I've ever done."
Hell yeah.
He's like, "At first, I didn't want to do it because we were wrestlers, and and we lost our sport and all this stuff." But yeah, it's kind of interesting, hearing some of that stuff.
That's dope. See, that's the kind of stuff I like to hear about, like the way fighters came up. So that's pretty dope, dude. But other than that, I haven't watched it. So I mean, whenever you get to it, dude, send me the highlights, dude. Because okay, yeah, but yeah, look, Ilya having because I watched the stuff. I honestly don't what's up with him. I watch stuff that's in Spanish because it's not the same message he gives out in the English ones here, and he's a very interesting guy. Like he's not as much of I've heard people call him a douchebag before. As much as that,
he seems like a great guy when he's talking to Joe. Like he actually is genuinely caring about
normal guy.
Yeah,
normal fucking dude. He's cool. So yeah, it's cool. I want to see some of that for sure.
Yeah. Well, we have some other news that's not great for the PFL. I was actually there in Orlando covering the event the last 2 weeks. And Donn Davis never one time spoke to the media, but claims that the media is part of the reason for the PFL's problems. He got into a very public dispute with Ariel Helwani on Twitter on Friday night, right before the main event or right before the card kicked off. Not great timing for Donn Davis and the PFL, but here's kind of a little bit about what they were saying. Donn Davis came in here and said, "This is the kind of misreporting that hurts MMA fighters and MMA industry. Ariel Helwani is wrong about PFL fighter compensation. Average fighter pay in the PFL is up. The PFL roster payroll is up. His clickbait is a disservice to fighters and fans as well as PFL MMA who serves both." Well, Don, you know how many media members that you had on their second week in Orlando? You had 2, and one of them was me. And you didn't pay any of them. There was no paid media there. None of the guys like Luke Thomas or Ariel Helwani or Brian Campbell
even talked about it.
Chuck Mendenhall or any of these guys even comment or put out content on your guys' subjects, let alone come to your events. You have had at multiple events I've been at, no translators for fighters that are foreign fighters. So why would someone in the media come and want to be in an atmosphere like that is, one, not at a professional standard when there's not translators, 2, they're not getting paid or their rooms comped. When we were back in Bellator, the rooms would be comped down to $100 a night. That's not the case with the PFL. So it's an enormous amount of money to sit there and cover them on your own. And for 3, you sit there and have these times, which I know Don complained about and said that wasn't necessarily his fault, but nothing's Don's fault at the end of the day. I haven't seen this guy take responsibility for one thing. He won't take responsibility for Jake Paul sitting here getting paid millions and millions of dollars by the promotion and never fighting. He won't sit here and take responsibility for Francis Ngannou only competing one time in 3 years in the promotion. And I guarantee you that the top 2 guys that they've paid over the last 4 years have been Ngannou and Jake Paul. And they've got one fight from the combined 2 of them.
Yeah, dude, look.
You want to talk about why these things are going from $1 million to $500,000? You're not having the guys you're paying the most ain't playing. That's why.
So, and again, just like you said, Don's always like, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. So let's talk about, because you're talking about what happened with Ariel, right? So let's back up a little bit before that, okay? So again, you and I are constant contact when you're in Orlando the last couple of weeks, and it was wild to hear some of the shit that was going on in the media room, right? With the PFL, I feel like they're just kind of aimless now, right? They just really have no idea what's going on here. I mean, Don's spending most time on LinkedIn posting, inspirational shit about how he's an entrepreneur. I don't know how good of a businessman you can really be, dude, when your business is failing. It's failing. Let's be honest. It's failing. No one's watching it. No one cares. If you want to look up the ratings, I don't know. I don't look them up at all. But
they have employees and fighters in their own promotion that don't even know if they're employed. Like, think about that. Patchy Mix and Johnny Eblen, 2 of the best fighters in the world. Do they have any idea what's going on with their title? No. And does Donn Davis show up to the media after the fights so I can ask him, hey, what's going on with Johnny Eblen and these guys? He sends Jonathan Coaching to go and do it. So he doesn't have to answer legitimate questions. Why would the media sit here and kiss your ass and promote you great and do exactly what you want to do when you won't even give us the time of day to show up and answer our questions?
Dana White was caught on video slapping his wife on New Year's. All right. I just happened to be covering that first event at the Apex. You know what Dana White did? He came into media day. Dana White's never at the Apex on Wednesdays, ever. Comes in on media day before all the fighters come in and gives us a statement about it and fielded every question. He literally sat there. Anybody else got anything about anything? Anything? Literally stood this out there for like a minute straight, waiting for us to say something. He goes, all right, let's have a good one. Why? He didn't want his fighters having to answer for him. Okay. Donn Davis can't even do that on a legitimate business thing at all, right? And so you got to wonder, does this guy even give a shit? Because it doesn't seem like it to me. And this is not us going at Donn Davis personally. This is what we see. Like, I don't know Donn Davis personally. No, you don't know Donn Davis personally.
We're observers of the sport.
We're seeing what you're doing. We're seeing the results, and it's not good, okay? So since Coachman in, that when you texted me that it was Coachman, I was like, God damn, poor guy. Poor guy. I didn't even deserve this shit. But he had no answers for us. So what are you going to do? So how did we get into this with Ariel? I don't know if we talked about this last week, but GFL. Right, GFL announces their first 2 events are canceled because their main investor wasn't able to fulfill their obligation for funding. Okay, first of all, massive problem, massive. Are you booking a whole cards without having money on hand to pay for anything? That's scary shit, business wise. Anyway, so that happened. Tell me why Donn Davis had the balls to tweet at Ariel Helwani blaming him for the GFL, for people thinking GFL is legitimate. He basically said that, right? So then good old Ariel, which again, you and I know good and damn well, all right? There's a lot of people you can go out in the media and in the business world and even MMA. One guy who you cannot go at unless you're ready, locked and loaded with all kinds of receipts is one of the expert receipt keepers in the whole game. Ariel Helwani tweets back at him. He goes, you're in the midst of one of the worst PR runs in history of combat sports. I can't open this app without seeing one of your top stars complain about the state of your company. I'm the least of your problems. 100% true. I take issue with you claiming my information is incorrect. Are you paying the same to the tournament winners? No, not even close. And this is because Ariel had said pay is down, right? I watched the clip. He said pay is down in PFL, which is 100% right. Went from $1 million bonus or, tournament purse to 500,000. That's less than $1 million, quite obviously, right? You and I good enough at math to know that, right? Yeah. And did you ask Bellator fighters to rework contracts? Yes, 100% true. I've heard from fighters saying that happened. Did you cancel events last year? Yes, 100% true. Are you holding events at Universal Studios circa WCW in 1994, which is hilarious. I remember those days. Look it up. I know you're a bit new to this, thus generating little to no gate revenue. 100%. You were telling me that they were giving away tickets to this week's event last weekend, right? And then he goes, in fact, it continues to baffle me at how few tickets you're able to sell in America after all these years. I've asked you to come on my show, what is it, 5-6 times now, to talk about some of these things in your upcoming fights, and you continue to refuse. Why is that, Donn? He doesn't even show up to his post-fight shit or media day.
He does not care. I really don't think he cares about it.
100%. The only one who hasn't been a disservice to the sport are the Johnny-come-lately promoters who think they can ride this MMA wave by convincing investors to gamify the fight game. Season, standing, playoffs, nonsense. 100% true. Season, standing, and playoffs is garbage in combat sports. Everything I said was true. Continue writing posts on LinkedIn to your current or potential investors shortly. Continue to talk about Fight Matrix. I'll continue to tell the truth. I don't side with Ariel Helwani very often. Okay, but he got him because it's true. Yeah. Everything Ariel said is true,
and he went easy on him.
He went way easy. You could have gone way harder.
Ariel's not even there to see the on-the-ground bullshit from the day-to-day basis to go in and complain like I just did previously. It's like he's so far from being in this 1B situation that he thinks he's in that it's ridiculous. And it's honestly, it's kind of they're a joke in the combat sports space right now.
And it is. And like you said, Ariel went easy. There's stuff in the background that I know Ariel knows and a lot of other people know that we don't talk about because we don't have to. But man, I promise you, if Ariel really wanted to hurt his business, he could. Right? So it's what it is, man. Don's gonna keep doing this until PFL fails, or until someone buys it or saves his ass. And if he sells it, someone comes and buys it, dude, he's gonna take all credit for that. But right now, everything, hey man, my fault and your fault, bro.
Eddie, is he the most hated promoter in the history of mixed martial arts?
No, he's the most disrespected. He's the most disrespected and disregarded promoter, and it's nobody else's fault but his own.
Who do you think's the most hated? I think he's the most hated.
Hated.
His own fighters don't like him.
Okay, yeah, currently I'm with you. Yeah, currently. Yeah, okay, I'm with you.
There was that guy, Gary, what was that guy's name? The fat guy who put on the Kimbo Slice Elite XC cards.
Oh Jesus!
He was always wearing a tracksuit.
I can see his face. I can't remember his name.
Gary not Copeland. Gary,
No.
That's the referee.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of got some heat for the Seth Petrozelli stuff, but telling him not to shoot takedowns and shit like that. But
Gary Shaw,
yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember that. Yeah, I know. I'm with you, dude. I don't know. I mean, look, when Patchy Mix is coming out saying I haven't fought, what the hell's going on? Corey Anderson's like, I've never been away off for a year. Like, come on, Don. You know why he doesn't book him? Because they probably have decent contracts. He don't want to pay him.
Eddie, or why is we sat here and we were the first time we gave the PFL props in the last year of the show, we were like, Dakota Ditchler, you got one. You built a homegrown star. You did one of the hardest things to do in combat sports. You built a homegrown star. We're through the first quarter of the year. The first quarter of the year is gone. She has not fought. What are you doing? Like, what is the business plan? You sit here and have these, so you can say you have these superstars under your banner. We've got Ngannou, we've got Paul, we've got Dakota. They have to fight for you to be successful. They have to compete. Like, I just don't understand it.
Look, man, businessmen know that an asset sitting on the shelf not making you money is a waste, right? And so I got to start wondering, like, look, if investors are seeing this right now, not us, but if they're seeing what Don is doing, they're not giving him money. You know, like, can you really expect the Saudis to give him money? Like, come on, man. Turkey
doesn't know what he's doing.
Turkey Al Sheikh, buy PFL, please.
For real.
I guarantee he would. The first thing he does is make a super card with all the big names on it.
Yeah, and he'd have the money to actually put it on.
Hey, and all the season and playoff bullshit, done.
Needs to be. But moving on, we do have a good PFL card this week of the World Tournament opening round. This is the best card so far. And in the main event this weekend, we will be getting a middleweight matchup between Impa Kasanganay and Fabian Edwards. Fabian Edwards, former title challenger over there in Bellator. Impa Kasanganay, a former World Tournament champion in the PFL. Both of these guys, Impa had been competing at 205. He's going to have the natural home weight class of 185 now again. That's great for him. Also in this tournament are Dalton Rasta and Sadabu C, who we'll talk about their matchup in another list of very good contenders in that middleweight division. But let's get started with the main event here. Fabian Edwards, great technical striker, a lot like his brother, a little bit more meatier than his brother, not quite the fast twitch athlete, but still does pack a powerful punch. He's going to be going in there against Impa Kasanganay, who's one of the most well-rounded fighters in the sport right now, has great takedown defense. I don't think he will need it at all in this fight. He actually may be taking Fabian Edwards to the ground in this one at some points. This will be a 3-round fight, which I do believe favors Impa. And I'm going to go with Impa by decision in this one. I think that he's going to be able to grind out a win against the cage and do some dirty work to make Edwards fight off the back foot and fight the game plan that Impa Kasanganay wants, mixing in the strikes and the takedowns against the fence. What do you think, Eddie?
Have you seen anything on Media Day today from PFL?
No.
Impa Kasanganay at 185 is a rough cut, man. I mean, the dude was – He was. I mean, he's sucked in as you can get. He's been fighting 205 for a minute.
Yeah.
So I want to see how he recovers now because he's the main event. He's going to be better recovered than someone that, for example, would be the first fight out. So I mean, that's good for him. But I'm with you. I think Impa gets a decision here. I think Fabian kind of fights like Leon sometimes, where he's like trying not to get knocked out, so he doesn't put up as much offense as you would like to see from a striker like Edwards. Leon and Fabian and his brother at that point, you know what I mean? He wants to see better, higher outputs at him. They don't do it anymore. But I'm with you. Impa by decision, get him in there, and I would love to say finish. When's the last time we thought Impa finish anybody?
Yeah, no. The finishing ability isn't necessarily there always. I believe he finished the Dutch wrestler is like Martin Hamlin. Hamlin. He knocked him out pretty good, but. Yeah, we're not seeing him finish a lot of guys, but he does go to a decision and is one of the most well-rounded fighters in the sport. Good everywhere, not necessarily world-class in one certain discipline, but very good in all facets of the game.
100%.
In the co-main event, though, we've got Gadzi Rabadinov returning Actually, one of the only winners from last year in the PFL tournament to return this year. Got to have some respect there for Godsey as he's trying to get back on the horse and win his second tournament in consecutive years here, taking on former UFC veteran Mark DeCasey. DeCasey's PFL debut will be in this fight, and he will have a size advantage against Rabadanov. But I think that the grappling of Rabadanov will be too much. He's also very good on the feet, which we saw in that Brett Primus fight. And I've got Rabadanov in this one by submission in the third round. Eddie, what do you think about this one? I think that DeCasey's a great athlete, but I think he's going to struggle if this fight hits the floor. He does have good takedown defense, but the ability to mix it up by Rabadanov, I think, is just going to be too much. I've been really impressed with him on his Bellator run. Had a win over there in Ryzen as well before coming over to the PFL and running through that tournament. So I like Rabadanov in this one. Who are you taking in the lightweight co-main?
Rabadanov by decision. He's got 10 in a row. He'll play with his food and then not be able to finish. It is what it is with PFL. But that's just PFL like type of stuff. I would love to see him finish it, right? But Rabadanov is one of the more well-rounded guys in this tournament, and no one talks about that because he's a Russian dude, and so everyone thinks he's just only a grappler. No, he's got hands. He finished Brett Primus.
Yeah, good kicks.
He finished Brett first round last time out?
Second or third. We'd have to look it up, but
you probably right third, probably third, probably second. I don't know, whatever. But either way, he finished Brett Primus, all right, with hands. And then before that, he had another finish by hands not long before that. So Mark's a great striker, man, but he doesn't have no ground game.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It's kind of how I see it. Now this next one, Eddie, I think is going to be fight of the night. You got
why is this not main event?
It could be.
Why is it not? Damn.
Former PFL champion at welterweight, Sadibou also was competing at 205. I actually had exclusive interviews with both of these guys here on our Cageside Press YouTube page. You can go check those out before their matchup this weekend if you want any further breakdown on them and their training camps heading into this one. But Sadibou said this was the perfect medium for him at 185. He'd been competing at 170, been competing at 205. This was the weight class for him. And Dalton Rasta, this is the biggest step up in competition for him after he just picked up the biggest win of his career last June versus Norbert Novigneni Jr., another tough young up-and-comer. But he's going to be facing a former veteran champion in Sadibou. And it's going to be interesting to see what Dalton Rasta does in this one because, Eddie, he's going to be giving up a lot of length, a lot of technicality on the feet, a lot of explosiveness. I don't think he's going to want to keep it there too long. But he is very physically strong. He's got that gym body, that weight room physicality to him. Do you think that Rasta is going to be able to keep Sadibou on the ground for 15 minutes? Or is the veteran experience of Sadibou going to be too much on the feet?
Huge test with Dalton, just like you said. Massive test. It's the biggest test of his career, just like you said, to this point. And Sadibou trains at Extreme Couture, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken, but I don't think
he does.
Okay, yeah, that's a hard. That's a gym that with Eric Nixick and those guys, they game plan pretty well. Dalton needs to take him down and make every takedown count with damage. You can't just take him down and hold him because Sadibou is going to pop back up to his feet. He's athletic. He's strong as shit.
He's long. It's so hard to take off his feet.
Right. So Dalton's going to have some issues here. I think Dalton's going to have to take his time a little bit. I mean, look, either he has to be a relentless shooter and gas out Sadibou so bad that Sadibou can't get back to his feet, or he's got to take him down and put some violence on his face immediately and try to finish this one. I don't think he keeps Sadibou down long enough to win this fight just with takedowns and stuff like that. Yeah, dude, I'm with you. I think it's going to be a rougher one. I'm leaning Sadibou on this one.
I am too. I'm leaning Sadibou by decision. I think this one will be fight of the night. Bare bones of it, I think it's striker grappler, but Rasta is not necessarily a grappler. He does have a big right hand. He's a very powerful athlete is how I would describe him. A guy who is like a college wrestler, a three-sport athlete in high school, just a very athletic, coordinated, flexible guy, and is built for this. But the veteran experience of Sadibou, the one thing that I do think favors Rasta in this one, maybe the speed of Sadibou is his later years as he's having to go through a rough weight cut. Maybe the speed depletes on fight night for him, and Rasta, looks a little better on the feet than what some people may expect. That could be as Sadibou is getting close to 40 years of age. But I'm going to go with Sadibou by decision in this one. And then in the next fight, Eddie, the lightweight matchup, I don't have a whole bunch on this one. J.J. Wilson competed a little bit in the Bellator, but he's a very unexperienced fighter. He's going to be going against a guy in Mads Burnell who's fought Clay Collard. He's fought the best of the best. in this promotion. I'm going to go with Mads Burnell by decision in that one. I'm going to go with Clay Collard by decision against Alfie Davis. I'm going to go with Brent Primus by submission in the second round. And then I've got Josh Silveria by decision over Mike Shipman. Same
as you. Those are the same guys that I was picking to win. I didn't really have like a how, but look, Mads, I like Mads like as a person. Mads is a fucking dope ass dude. But yeah, he should win that. Clay Collard, we know how he does. Go in there, take down, beat up, whatever. Brent Primus, I think he'll get knockout. I don't know if he'll. I think if he finishes, it'll be a knockout.
I don't know much about his opponent.
You know what I remember is I mentioned the opponent to somebody, and they were like, "Oh, that guy's not. He ain't gonna last." I'm like, all right, maybe Brent got a nice little step. He was supposed to fight somebody else. Yeah, he was. He was supposed to fight like a tough fight. It was a tough one. I'll find it for you. Don't worry.
I interviewed him. I should know.
Yeah. Here we go. Alexander Shabli, whatever. Yeah, he's supposed to fight him. That I think you and I were talking about that when that fight got announced. We're like, that's just unfair. Why the fuck? Why are we doing that?
Yeah,
that's just unfair in the first round. They should be in separate sides of the bracket. And then Josh Silveria, like he's one of those guys where I'm just like Silveira. He's one of those guys that I kind of root for a little bit. I'm just like, come on, Josh, let's go. You want to see it?
Yeah, his dad coaches him.
And he always gets to either the semi or the final, and he always loses. Like, dude,
I know.
Come on, buddy, you get one. So I'm hoping he gets it, and somehow pulls it off here, and and makes good and everything. Because I like the guy. I like Josh. He's a good dude.
Yep.
But yeah,
I think so too. But that's what we've got this weekend for Fight fans. You can watch the PFL on ESPN Plus Friday night. I believe that card starts around 8 p.m. Eastern time. So you can catch that. And then we will be back next Wednesday. The show will be moving to Wednesdays.
Real quick, let me plug something real quick, if you don't mind. I know it's your show. My bad, dude.
No.
LFA 206 happened on Friday night from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Big time main event bout. Richie Miranda taking on Richie Lewis. Richie Miranda, if you guys don't know, you need the machete. This dude fucking brings it. He's got good ground game. He's got great striking, super well-rounded. Taking on a high-level wrestler from Richie Lewis. Co-main event is Mitch McKee and Greg Fisher. Greg Fisher coming back from a long layoff, former champion. And dude, this Mitch McKee kid, dude, he's ready. He's got an engine on him. He's ready to go. Fun fights.
What day is that?
Huh?
What day is that? Saturday?
Friday. So, Friday. So, so Friday, I want to say, probably the same time. I'm not gonna sure. I'm not really sure, but yeah. And then we got interviews with both Mitch McKee and Richie Miranda up on our YouTube and everything. And check out our social. We got clips with them as well. A lot more coming from LFA through the Cageside Press Network as well. So keep an eye on that.
All right, Fight fans, you can catch us next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. We will break down everything from the PFL this weekend and also bring you any breaking news and look ahead to UFC Kansas City next week. That is Protest versus Ian Machado. Gary, thanks for joining us, Fight fans, and we'll see you next week.